What's up everybody, Rebel here, and welcome back to Rebels Reviews, a mix between a first impressions review and a Rebels retrospective episode. Or a review with actual effort put into it. And for today's episode, Crash 4, It's About Time. And I've gotta say, it's about driven me damn near crazy, all of these stupid puns, so let's go ahead and get them all out of the way. It's about time we got a new Crash game, it's about time, literally, and dimensions, and of course, the thing they said the thing.
It's about time.
And that's all, that's it, no more jokes about the name of the game, that's it, we're done. So now that we've got that out of the way, it's about time we take a look at this game. Crap, I said the thing.
Darn you, Crash Bandicoot!
Crash Bandicoot 4, the first brand new Crash Bandicoot game in 10 years, and the first one I've cared about in 20. And I think it's blatantly obvious why this orange-haired marsupial finally got a brand new entry into the franchise. The original 3 games in the trilogy, as well as the kart racing spin-off, have been remade from the ground up and released to resounding success. So Activision, seeing the markability of this classic franchise via the successful remake, allowed Toys for Bob to make a brand new entry directly inspired by the originals. And holy one missing box did they hit the nail on the head, which is exactly what I want to do with my head every time I'm missing just one box, which is quite frequently. Yes, Toys for Bob did this brand new Crash game, not Vicarious Visions, which, if you didn't know, is the development team that made the Insane trilogy. Toys for Bob is actually the team that made the Spyro Reignited trilogy, so maybe Vicarious Visions will be making a new Spyro game? Who knows? But this isn't the team that remade Crash, it's the team that remade Spyro. Yet they still did an amazing job on this game nonetheless. Toys for Bob quite possibly created the best Crash game ever. They 100% made the hardest Crash game ever, that's for damn sure. Everything here is perfectly Crash, and while the handling might be slightly different, it's the same ride. Except Polar, I have no idea what the hell happened there. Well, let's pop this game in and Yes, geez, 20 pages? Oh, come on, oh my god, let's go. Oh, 24 pages? Yes, I'd sell my soul now, let me play the game, damn it. Awesome, save slot? Yeah, okay, initials? Bum. Bum. And because of the difficulty of this game, you're given the option to play in modern or retro mode, with retro mode having lives, both tracking your deaths, so besides just having to fear a game over and starting the level from the beginning, modern is the way to go. Unless you just hate life or something, I don't know. Now, being a direct sequel to Crash 3, it takes place directly after. Well, a couple decades after. And spoilers at certain points in this video, but the game has been out a month. And it's a Crash game, so there's not really much story here to spoil. Anyways, Cortex, Entropy, and Uka Uka were stranded on some planet somewhere, and about 20 years passes when Uka Uka finally musters up the strength needed to rip a hole in space and time. From there, Crash is woken up by Aku Aku, and you start the first level of the game. And being on Insanity Island, this just gets those Crash vibes flowing hardcore. And it's here we can see the new updated graphics, from both the world you're in and Crash and Coco themselves. And the redesign is great. I genuinely don't have an issue with anything here. And the world, and all of the levels that fill it, are amazingly designed with tons of detail, and sometimes the game actually zooms out to show you, and these moments are great, really showing how much detail is here. However, this is a cartoony video game, so as good as the graphics are, cartoony platformers are never contenders for best graphics nominations. But overall, the game looks great, and it feels great as well, mostly. Crash has all his main moves from the originals, the jump and the spin of course, the slide, jump, belly flop, and the double jump, all used to make your way through each level, breaking as many boxes as you can, dying as little as possible, and taking out or avoiding enemies along your way. Classic Crash. There are also the classic chase segments, polar riding sections, and even the jet board making a wonderful welcomed return. I was absolutely ecstatic when I saw the jet board, and thank God there's no motorcycle. Although Polar controls just as bad. And while I'm not a fan of the chase levels from the original, those were whole levels. Here it's just a small segment in a much larger level, and it works much better this way. And holy half-hour gameplays are these levels long. Now no level is actually a half hour, but with how many times you'll be dying, it will take you a half hour a few times to beat a single level, especially if you're going for all the boxes. Most levels will be about 5 to 10 minutes, assuming you're not dying too much, and these levels are amazingly designed. The box placement, secret areas with some extra boxes, and just amazing platforming challenges. The way the levels are set up and divided is amazing. Forward-facing, side-scrolling, the new sliding segments, and of course, chase and polar sections. Most areas like this are divided with a checkpoint box while going inside, outside, or scaling walls, and these levels are pretty diverse too. There's the standard Crash feel, but quite a few levels do something completely unique, and only do it once. Certain obstacles or certain combinations of masks in your surroundings. I'll get to the masks later, but these sections can be done so well, and the level themes are pretty great as well. All over the place with the standard Crash Island levels, desert levels, pirate levels, ancient Japanese levels, swamp levels, snow levels, dinosaur levels, space levels, future city levels, and good old Cortex's castle. However, these aren't just level themes, they're themes to separate dimensions. After the first two levels and finding the first quantum mask, more on those later, there are temporal rifts that lead to separate dimensions, which is reflected on the amazing overworld map, basically like that of Crash 1 or Medieval. And I actually do love how the dimension themes are 3 to 4 levels, maybe a boss, and then repeat with brand new scenery. And even within dimensions, some levels are so unique. The level Offbeat, for example, themed after New Orleans during Day of the Dead, this level is gorgeous, and the way it blends musical instruments as platforms as well as the sliding part timed to the music gave me huge Rayman vibes. And the soundtrack, while I'm still kind of digesting it, it's pretty damn good. Crash 2's was just amazing, and the theme from 3 is the definitive Crash theme, but the theme song for 4 is great. There's some nice throwbacks to Crash 1, the first level being the Crash 1 theme. Stay Frosty having Cold Hard Crash. And possibly my favorite track in the game bears repeating, bringing Cortex's theme. I swear the song from A Real Grind sounds like it's from Spyro. There are 2 levels where the music just stopped. Strange. And for the main songs here, some are great, while some just don't mix the theme or feel like Crash music. The pirate levels and dino levels come to mind. Cortex Island isn't great, with the exception of Cortex's castle itself, and the Japanese levels are okay. Feels like Crash, but I don't know. On the other hand, I loved Engine's boss song. The Bayou and Snow levels are all amazing. The Space and Future levels aren't bad at all. Dingodile's Dino level song, Cortex Castle, Cortex's final boss battle, and the Polar and Jetboard songs are all amazing. And instead of just one track per level theme, there's actually one track per level. And instead of the same song for the whole level, the song will change dynamically based on where you are in the stage, which is awesome and just shows how much effort was really put here. There's also a few inverted themes that affect the music, the most noticeable and extreme being all of the Mosquito Marsh levels, where all are sped up with a filter to sound like ragtime music, even having a completely different piano. Then there's the flashback tapes, which are all songs from Crash 1 and 2. I noticed Pinstripe's song, Cortex Power, and the temple themes, the Warp theme from 2, the Snow stage, and future stages, and it's just awesome. And I still think Crash 2 holds a special place for its soundtrack, as almost every song there is pure perfection. And while Crash 4 may have more amazing music, when you look at the whole thing, 2 may overall be better. Geez, see, there's just so much stuff going on here, and it all blends together so perfectly in the game. Trying to explain it, it's all over the place. Anyways, I guess it's time to talk about those masks. So during the second level, you notice items phasing in and out, going from solid to translucent. Well, it turns out to be one of the quantum masks, Lanny Lowly. And I just want to say, all the cutscenes in the game, they're amazing. They're so well animated and the movements of Crash are perfect. Everyone's design and movements are great. There are a couple things with some specific characters, but I'll get into that later. So there's an adorable cutscene and Lanny Lowly takes Crash and Coco through one of the time portals, temporal rifts, whatever. And boom, you're in a new dimension, and here the game starts to implement the mask segments. One of the 4 masks will attach to you for a short portion of the level, giving you their powers. In this case, you'll be phasing objects in and out of existence while platforming, and it's awesome. This is such a great mechanic to be blended with Crash platforming, and there are 3 other masks across time and space that you have to rescue as well. The next being Akano, who gives you the power of spinning so fast that you basically tornado across long distances, shooting certain enemies' attacks back at them. You can also break locked crates while spinning, and TNTs will explode instantly. It's an okay mask. It can be fun when you get the hang of it, but almost every challenge will be trial and error, and error, and error. The third mask being Kapunawa, and the big Kahunawa's power is slowing down time. It's pretty cool and adds that much more variety, slowing down falling ice to use as a platform, cars flying in midair, a giant saw blade flying around. Her power just fits so well within the platforming, just like Lonnie Lovely. And the fourth mask is Ikaika, whose mask is two heads, one is upside down, and his power is flipping gravity. Another more situational mask like Akano, this mask allows you to flip gravity, giving you the ability to walk on ceilings. It's extremely situational, and can be rather disorienting at times, like wall running upside down. It also has momentum, so some parts where you have to shift gravity twice back to back instantly are insanely annoying. And later in the game, these sections become more and more prevalent, resulting in a section in the last level that's a culmination of every challenge you faced with each mask, back to back to back mask switching gauntlet that often has the masks swapping out in mid-air. It's pretty cool, but also insanely difficult. So the masks are a great way to change up the gameplay. It takes Crash platforming and adds a unique dynamic to them. Then there's the alternate perspective levels, where you take the place of Dingodile, a different dimensions Tana, and Cortex himself. And these are cool. You play half a stage as one of those three characters interacting with something at the end that affects the normal stage. You then replay the second half of the stage with Crash or Coco, which is just the second half of one of the main stages. The box placement is different though, which makes sense. Yeah, no, it doesn't. So in the main stage, you see something happen that confuses you. Turns out it was just Dingodile, and now boxes are moved around and stuff is harder. Like, it's the same timeline. Now, if you don't see them interfere in a level in the first place, it might have made sense. Whatever. So there's Tana, not your Tana, but a different Tana, who saw Crash and Coco die. Gruesome. Well, she noticed the temporal rifts and is out to do what she can to help. She has a whip grapple thing, which can take care of enemies and make long jumps. Sometimes. There's a ground pound, which is like Crash's, and with hips like that, she can ground pound me right on my... Her sections aren't too bad, except when going for all the boxes. Due to her whip, there are boxes off in the distance that are sometimes, well, pretty fucked up. And a guarantee that you'll miss some boxes. After reuniting with Tana, we then run into Dingodile, and turns out he's left his life of being a hired hand behind him and opened up a restaurant, until some bastards blew it up.
Ah, bastards!
The game's E10+, so I can say it. So Dingo just wants his restaurant back, and then he falls into a temporal rift, and then he just wants to get home. I don't blame the guy. So he sets out to find a way home. He has his flamethrower, except now it's more of a vacuum. Sucks up boxes, suck up TNT to shoot it out and destroy boxes out of reach, or obstacles blocking your path. And the vacuum sucks, but it also blows. You can also use the vacuum to blow down and hover across gaps. All in all, I actually enjoy Dingodile's sections. They can be challenging sometimes, but not impossible. And getting all the boxes with him is pretty doable. And after the first Cortex boss battle... Yes, bosses, there's bosses, of course, I'll get to the bosses. Jeez, all over the place, I swear. After fighting Cortex, you get to see how he was tracking down Crash and Coco. Now Cortex here is a little floaty? Not in control, but in personality. And it's different, but it isn't bad. It just doesn't make a bunch of sense, but I'll get to that later. So Cortex has his gun, there's also a dash ability, but no double jump, which can make his sections incredibly frustrating. The dash is hard to gauge how far you'll go. You do get some hang time, but it doesn't always help. His gun can also turn enemies into either solid or bouncy platforms. The solid to use if you need to remain still, and the bouncy to help you with the platforming. In general, Cortex can be tough to control, and his sections are not my favorite, but it is an interesting change of pace nonetheless. Can I talk about the bosses now? So the bosses here are pretty good. I mean, nothing here is as cool as Engine in Crash 3, but still better than most of the bosses in the original trilogy. And you see almost all of the bosses in the beginning. There's Entropy, Cortex, and Embryo and Engine. Engine shows up first in the second world, the desert one, and he'll communicate to you through speakers around the level, along with flyers for his band. His boss battle is him in a giant drum machine robot. Pretty unique and not bad. However, his character was kind of redesigned. Of course in look, being a little thinner, but also in his demeanor. He seems more wild. Not crazy wild, but rocker wild. I don't know. He always seemed more nerdy than rocker. Then there's Embryo, and I think he might be the best boss in the game. Not in terms of boss fight, because it's literally just his boss fight from Crash 1, down to the finale with him hulking out. There is a new thing here with him bending reality. It's the lead to the inverted levels. But I'll get to that in a minute. It's not Embryo's fight that I think was amazing, it's his character himself. He's just as giggly as before, cackling throughout his sentences, but it's his deeper motives. In Crash 1, he was Cortex's assistant. In Crash 2, he hired the first 3 bosses because he wanted to stop Cortex. Well, here Brio is clearly a villain. However, while rambling on through communication potions throughout the ancient Chinese levels, he starts to see Crash and Coco more as allies, friends maybe, that he needs to test, to hopefully form an alliance with him to help defeat Cortex. Well, he turns himself into a pterodactyl and lays an egg. Third boss is Cortex. His boss battle here is pretty good. Avoid electricity by either jumping or sliding, not falling, and hitting some robots back at him. And up until this point, Cortex's character was fine. However, once being beaten and Entropy telling him he's found a new accomplice and doesn't need Cortex anymore, he teams up with Crash and Coco. Yeah, this is where the game tries to have a story, but it just kind of doesn't fit. Like, I chuckled and all, but after replaying those levels and watching those cutscenes again, it's just not Cortex. Like, he's sad Coco called him a bad guy. It's just not in character. After this, you can go back and play a couple past levels with Cortex as well as some later levels. Then there's the 4th boss battle against Entropy. However, as Entropy said, he has a new accomplice, and it's a different dimension's Entropy, a female Entropy. Apparently the Entropy from Tana's dimension, and this Entropy and our Entropy are, have the hots for each other. Themselves. And everyone is straight disgusted, except Dingodile. He thinks it's hilarious, and his reaction made me bust out laughing myself. Good stuff. Before the boss battle, there's this thing that happens. You collect some fruit and then... Whoa. Their boss battle is pretty good, at first. Everything in the asteroid belt is great. The parts along the little space station kind of is not good. Well, after beating the Entropies, the masks banish them away, or something equally anticlimactic, and I thought the game was close to ending. The masks take the whole gang to Food City planet, and everyone starts exploring and digging into food. However, Cortex then realizes the power of time that Kapuna Matata has and steals her and makes his escape, shocking literally nobody. Yes, this is kind of more in line with Cortex's original character. However, what would have made most sense is him knowingly tricking them the entire time to get Kapunawa. Being upset that he's called a bad guy and then being stereotypical bad guy isn't just bland and boring. It doesn't make any sense. So Cortex steals Big Kahunawa Burger and he's off to Cortex's castle circa 1996, right before the test on Crash Bandicoot in the original game. His goal now is to stop himself from testing on Crash in the first place. However, it then leads to him capturing himself and once again trying to kill Crash. He of course fails, the masks banish him to a far off beach, Dingodile has his restaurant back, and Tana is gaming with Crash and Coco. There's also a 100% ending and a 106% ending. Would I recommend going for these? Nope. No. Oh, nope. No. To get the no. To get the no. To get the 100% ending, you'll need to get all of the gems. So each level has 6 gems, 3 for getting 40, 60, and 80% of all the Wumpa, dying less than 3 times, breaking every box, and getting the hidden gem. Not impossible for most levels, as you can get the gems in different playthroughs, meaning you can break all the boxes and die 70 times, then replay it skipping boxes to not die at all. Then you have to do that again for the inverted mode to get all of those gems. And yes, there's a multicolored gem path in one of the last levels as well, and it's incredibly hard. This also means beat all the optional levels with Tana, Dingo, and Cortex. You'll also need to unlock and beat all of the flashback tapes, which can be found in some levels and requiring you reaching them without dying, which the first one is literally right at the start of the level, while at the end of the game they're at the very end of the stage. And these flashback tapes are just short, intense side-scrolling levels. These can actually get to be very tough, and I haven't even unlocked all of them because some of them are just too hard to get. They're called flashback tapes because they are the primary trials ran on Crash and Coco in 1996. Pretty cool way to tie everything together. And the audio of Cortex and Brio in the back is pretty funny at times. You'll also need to beat all of the inverted levels. I mentioned these earlier, but once you beat Brio, you can replay every stage in mirror mode, and each dimension has a different inverted theme to it. There's echolocation and Insanity Island, wireframe neon lighting in the hazardous wastes, paint covering a black and white world in Salty Wharf, cell shading for Japanese style art in Tranquility Falls, a 1.25 speed boost with ragtime music in Mosquito Marsh, comic book Ben-Day dots and Boom Bang Batman style style art for the 11th dimension, crayon coloring for the Agapis dimension, a very, very slight recoloring, I guess, for Bermugula's orbit. So over the top and crazy, wow. A slowed down 0.5 speed underwater world for the Snacks dimension, and lastly a retro game super polygon filter for Cortex's castle. And these are just mirror modes of the levels. A couple do have game altering effects, but some don't. And it's kinda lame when they don't. All the boxes and enemies are in the same place as well, everything except the hidden gem. And sometimes the hidden gem in inverted mode makes you kill yourself. Pretty dumb. And as I said earlier, you'll need to get all of the gems in all of these levels for 100%. You'll of course also need to get all 4 colored gems. Gems of color? I've been told one is preferred and the other's offensive. I don't know. Anyways, there's 4 colored gems here, and one is just floating in a level. 2 of them require interacting with the environment, and 1 by beating a level without breaking a single box. Now that was annoying. And lastly, you'll need to get a time relic in every level. Yes, time trials are back, and I ain't touching them. Just beat the stage fast enough and you get a time relic. Do all of that and you'll unlock the 100% ending. However, some of the later levels are super tough, so getting all of the flashback tapes and beating all of the inverted levels and getting all the time trial relics is just, it's almost too hard. And then there's the 106% ending, which is just stupid. Yes, for the true masochists out there, go for the 106% ending. You'll also need to break every box in each flashback stage, not just beat them. You'll also need to get a platinum time relic on each level. And as if that wasn't bad enough, you'll need to get an insanely perfect relic on every single level, which means breaking every box, getting 80% of the Wumpa, and not dying a single time. I shit you not, this is so stupidly sadistic of them. I'm so pissed, I swear to God. Yes, good luck. I have a couple, 10 I believe, I don't know. I don't care enough to keep trying. Maybe if it was just 3 deaths, that'd be fine. I don't know. Just beat as much as you can or want to and watch these endings on YouTube somewhere. And I knew I was going to be having trouble pretty early on. However, that was before inverted mode. I assumed there was only 6 gems per level and you need a certain amount of gems in each level to unlock that level's special costume for Crash or Coco. And these are pretty awesome. And early on, I was trying hard to get the ones I really liked. However, once I got to a level you needed 6 gems and I couldn't do it, thankfully I unlocked inverted mode shortly after and realized those gems count towards the unique skins, which is awesome, and I was always switching my skins. However, the last 2 skins need you to get every gem in the last 2 stages. Sadists. There aren't skins for Tana, Dingo, or Cortex though. Sadly, missed opportunity. Overall, I was really enjoying my time playing this game, until the Polar stage where I questioned being able to 100% the game. Then even more on the Crash Landed stage, as this was harder and also had a Polar section. And by the time I beat Entropy and went to the Snacks dimension, I was basically just playing the game to beat it. All the fun had been absorbed and overshadowed by the straight spike in difficulty. Having to restart levels to reset the death counter, and despite being at the start of the level, you have to wait like 45 seconds for the level to load. Yes, the insanely long load times here are terrible, especially considered the only thing that needs to be reloaded is the number next to a skull in the top right corner, and literally nothing else. Missing just 1 box is annoying as hell also. Also, I swear a couple times I beat a stage and got all the boxes, played inverted right after knowing where all the boxes were and breaking them, and somehow being short a box. What the fuck? That was mainly in Dingodile stages, maybe there's a glitch there. However, usually it's just because the game hid literally half the boxes off screen like some sadists. Breathe, Tyler, just breathe. There's no secret exits or entrances or secret levels at all. And Polar sucks. Did I say that already? Yeah, Polar sucks. And that's Crash 4, It's About Time. And I've gotta say, if you look at pure gameplay, this is the best Crash game ever. And I'm gonna go ahead and compare this to the Insane trilogy as one whole game because it's almost as big and expansive. Crash 4 is amazing. Once you get it through your thick skull that you're never gonna get 100%. Yeah, if you're going at this game from a completionist perspective, this is brutal. And the sheer difficulty of some of the platforming is mind-numbingly infuriating, to say the least. But in all honesty, the amount of fun and enjoyment I had in the first 2/3 of this game far outweighs the depression and anger caused by the last third. And that's gonna wrap this one up. Thanks a bunch for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed. These videos actually do take a bunch of effort from me, so it would really mean a lot to me if you liked it, so the algorithm knows to let other people know to watch it. And make sure you're subscribed for more Crash Bandicoot videos. And here's another Crash video probably on the screen or down in the description. Playlists. And next time, what? Ranking the levels in Crash 4, the bosses, the inverted modes. Any suggestions you guys want to see first, let me know, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of those future videos. And comment down below, what do you think of Crash 4? Have you been playing it? Do you enjoy it? Are you waiting for a price drop? What's going on? Let me know. And Until next time, peace.